Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt is sponsored by the Marquardt Law Firm and does not attempt to solve your individual legal problems upon the basis of information contained herein. Instead, contact an attorney to discuss the specific facts and circumstances of your unique situation. The views and opinions of this program do not reflect the views of the Salem Media Group.
It's time for Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt. Todd Marquardt, attorney at law in Texas. If you're a millionaire or a thousandaire, Talk Law Radio is now on the air. Call in with your business law question, your elder law question, veteran aid, Medicaid, build a business to get paid. 210-308-8867. Or ask a question online at marquardtlawfirm.com. That's MARQUARDT lawfirm.com. And now it's Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt.
Welcome to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt. And now it's time to discover your hidden legal issue blind spots by listening to me talk about the law on the radio. Are you paying a non-medical home care provider or a neighbor to sit with your older mom or dad? One wrong move could cost you big time. Join our discussion to uncover the legal pitfalls you need to avoid. But first, we're going to talk with our new sponsor, Steve Warren, with Financial Planning HQ. He's going to give us our financial focus segment this week, and he'll be back next week too. So we hope that you'll follow him and follow some of his advice. So this is Steve Warren, president of Financial Planning HQ. Tell us a little bit about your practice.
Oh, sure thing, Todd. And by the way, it's great to be back, and it's super fantastic to be here again. And so a little bit about our company. Financial Planning HQ is an independent registered investment advisor in the state of Texas. And so what that means is that we have no affiliation with broker dealers or insurance companies. And what we do is that we work with financially successful people who want to focus on things in their life that are more important than money. And we deliver planning, advice, organization, and accountability for a flat fee.
Okay. Can you share with our audience how they can be sure that they're receiving advice from their advisor that is in their best interest? I've heard about the fiduciary standard of care and would like to talk about that for a little bit.
Sure, absolutely. So you kind of summed it up in your question. The fiduciary standard basically says that any advice that an advisor gives to their client should be in their best interest. And so there's the duty of loyalty. And that means that any advice that's given must be in the interest of the client and not the advisor that's giving it. So if we had time, I could give you examples of, where I've seen that breach, just different things that people have been advised to do that really were not in their best interest and probably more in the interest of the advisor that was giving the advice. Mm-hmm. So there's a duty of care as well, that an individual, a professional advisor must be competent in what they're doing and be professional in what they do. And the full disclosure means that if there's any conflicts of interest, that an advisor should discuss that with their potential client or their client. And the other is that, again, just to really make sure that the advice that anybody is receiving, bottom line, is one that is in their best interest and not necessarily the most profitable for the advisor. Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you tell us about your designation as a registered independent advisor?
Yeah, there's two different registrations that are out there. You can be registered with the SEC, and we happen to be registered with the state of Texas because that works well for our firm. And it just seemed basically means that we're ruggedly independent. And so we can give unbiased advice to our clients that, is not, we don't have some company telling us that we need to sell this product. You need to sell annuities, you need to sell life insurance, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And just having that ability to be independent puts us in a really great position to give totally unbiased advice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How does your team give advice that's always in the client's best interest?
Yeah, that's a great question. The how part of it. When we first meet with a potential client, we sit down with them and we help them to crystallize what their overarching strategy is. And so we complete what we call their financial roadmap. And what's on that financial roadmap is the things that are important to them and goals that they have that require money and planning to achieve, the name of the goal, by when do they want to achieve it, how much money do they need in order to achieve it, and what are 2 or 3 words to describe what you're thinking and feeling once you've attained the goal and you reach the goal. And then we have a benchmarking of their current financial reality. And that financial roadmap document, which is, by the way, it's a big document. It's 17 by 22 inches. It's pretty, it's pretty big. And so that document to a large degree becomes their overarching strategy. And all of the advice that we give them is in alignment with that document. The client ends up with a comprehensive written lifetime financial strategy that aligns with that document. And then that strategy is updated and fine-tuned throughout the year. It's redone year after year after year after year because things change
Mm-hmm.
and nothing stays the same.
Right.
So by having a comprehensive written lifetime financial strategy that's in alignment with their overarching strategy, all the advice that we're going to give them is going to be aligned with what's important to them. And oftentimes that's not the case.
Right.
Yeah.
So if somebody comes to you and they already have advisors, are you able to work with your clients' current advisors?
Absolutely. We are able to work with our current advisors in the different disciplines, and only if they meet our standards, because we have very, very high standards. And so if a technician, whether it's in the tax, legal, insurance, every type of insurance that exists, or a financial planner, or a wealth manager, if these technicians are not up to our standards or they're giving advice that's contrary to the client's overarching strategy, then we have a pretty deep bench of subject matter experts. And we'll ask the client to fire who they're working with and replace it with somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Well, that makes sense if it's in their best interest, right?
It should, yes. That's what it's all about, right?
I know you
Yeah.
have a great book that you share. Can you share it with our audience and tell us about it?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So we have a book that the general theme of the book is that it helps people to create an inspiring financial strategy. And it also teaches somebody how to do it themselves without an advisor. I don't recommend that, but it does, it's an objective book. So the general theme again is the art of creating a great financial strategy. And it's an easy read. It's not boring, and there's no technical information in it.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing in there about investments and what you should be investing in or things like that. So it's an easy read. And if anyone in your audience would like to have to receive one, along with a 20-minute phone consultation, so that I can connect the key concepts in the book to the things that matter most to
Mm-hmm.
someone in your audience, then we can get one out and have that consultation. And if it makes sense for us to get together, I would invite you in, to formally complete your financial roadmap.
Right. So how can they ask you about that book? Should they call your office?
Yes, the best way to have a book sent out to you is just to call me. Again, my name is Steve Warren, and my phone number is 210-685-2722.
Okay, on the radio, we like to repeat the number a lot. So that's 210-685-2722. 210-685-2722. And you're going to be back next week with our
Absolutely, yeah.
financial focus and expanding on fiduciary duty and best interests and topics like that.
Absolutely. I think we should expand on the fiduciary duty and kind of give your audience some more information on that.
Okay, well, thank you for joining us today. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to be talking about home care with George Henry Torres II. So stay tuned. Are you confident about your financial future? What if you had a clear financial roadmap and a team holding you accountable to make the best financial decisions no matter what? At Financial Planning HQ, Steve and his sons, Joseph and Jacob, have been helping San Antonio families since 1987 with inspiring, intelligent financial strategies. Whether it's achieving or maintaining financial independence, becoming more tax efficient, or building business wealth, we create a comprehensive, written lifetime financial strategy that's uniquely yours, based entirely on what's important to you. Don't leave your financial future to chance. Call Financial Planning HQ today at 210-685-2722. That's 210-685-2722. And take the first step towards financial clarity. That's Financial Planning HQ, inspiring financial strategies for San Antonio. Remember, 210-685-2722. I'm Todd Marquardt. A lot of people think trusts are only for the wealthy, but that's simply not true. If you want to avoid probate, maintain your privacy, protect your assets, or make things easier for your family, a trust might be exactly what you need. I'll help you understand your options and decide what's best for your unique situation. Let's talk. Call 210-530-4278 or visit marquardtlawfirm.com today. Do it before you die.
9:30 a.m.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt on KLUP 930 AM The Answer, 630 AM The Word, and now KNTH AM 1070 and 103.3 FM in Houston, Texas. Yeah, so today's going to be a great show. We just finished talking to Steve Warren about Financial Planning HQ. Now we're going to be talking about home care with president and founder of River City Home Care with offices in San Antonio and Corpus Christi, George Henry Torres II. As our loved ones age, many of us face the difficult decision of finding care to help them stay safe and comfortable in their own homes. Non-medical home care providers can assist with daily activities like meal preparation, housekeeping, companionship, but there's a catch. If you're not careful when hiring, you could be setting yourself up for some serious legal trouble. Before we start talking about home care, George, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Please tell us how your faith has shaped your path to grow a successful home care business.
Well, thank you. I give all the glory to God every
Amen.
day and in everything. And this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it.
And you brought tiny Jesuses.
We do. And this is something that we offer to everybody that we encounter because
Cool.
it's all about God. It's all about Jesus. It's all about giving thanks. And very much our business is as a ministry of care, caring for those that are most vulnerable, most susceptible, those that are lonely, and really becoming an extension of family. So on the basis of that, of always doing the right thing, our philosophy is very simple of doing the right thing for our employees. And that's a reflection upon our culture of an organization that translates to just the best care that we can provide for our clients and become an extension of family.
And so how did you become such a knowledgeable person in home care?
Well, through my own experience with my grandfather, after a career path of being exposed to risk management planning in college and specifically long-term care insurance as one of the products that I would help advise on, getting into the pharmaceutical and biotechnology industry and learning of all different facets of medical ailments and medications that would help on that, getting specifically into long-term care facilities and helping and advising in roles there to even the hospice realm and pain management that I was able to advocate for my own family members when they needed it, specifically my grandparents. Then I came to a crossroad and really truly discerned and prayed about it that this is where God wanted me to be.
Tell the audience. I've already heard you explain it, but tell them about your commitment that you made to your grandfather.
I did. My grandfather was on hospice care, and he was he reached out to me and said, thank you for being here. And I was very blessed with the position that I had at the time that afforded me the autonomy and the flexibility to pop in and check in on him, take him to doctor's appointments, bring him a meal, and just be a family caregiver in many regards. But he said, thank you for doing that, and make sure that your grandmother receives the same type of care and that you're around to help her and that everybody is. I was at a crossroads with an organization I was with at the time, a subsidiary of Johnson & Johnson, and they made me an offer to relocate to Corpus Christi, Texas. And it was a very attractive offer, but I just didn't feel it in my heart that it was the right thing to do because I wouldn't be able to fulfill the commitment of caring for my grandmother, who was now sick at that time. So I declined the offer, took their severance, and started the home care business.
And you've been running this home care business for many years. Tell us how many.
We're coming up on our 20th anniversary next May.
Wow.
So
That's
May
terrific.
2026 will be 20 years, two decades.
And you have 2 locations?
We do. So here's how God works, just perfectly. I had aspirations to move to Corpus, declined that, but now we have an office in Corpus Christi by God's perfect plan. That just celebrated its 10-year anniversary there.
Awesome. Okay. Why don't you tell the listeners, look over there at the camera, and tell them how to contact you if they're interested in hiring a caregiver and they have more questions.
Absolutely. You can call us anytime. Our local number is 210-342-CARE. That is 210-342-2273. And we're happy to advise in any way that we can. No fee consultation. And just call us with your questions if you have any in regards to home care. That's not to be confused with home health or hospice. We kind of fill that gap where they leave off.
Okay. Well, we have a couple of minutes if you want to explain that.
Sure.
The 3 types. That you just
Absolutely.
mentioned.
There is a big misconception that home care is going to be covered by Medicare or even in many regards commercial insurance. But home health, traditional home health, is physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, and wound care services in conjunction with any type of nursing services. That's a in and out visit, typically 1 to 2 hours a week. It's typically triggered after a fall or some type of
A hospitalization.
hospitalization.
Right?
Absolutely. So that's the port of entry when you're actually going into home health, is you have to be from a hospital, discharged from the hospital, either go into a skilled nursing facility for rehab. And then at that point, you can go on and continue rehab there, or you can continue rehab at home. And then on the hospice side of it, most people think that, they'll provide 24-hour care. Unfortunately, there's only a small segment of that potentially does happen, but it's only for a 24 to 48-hour period. And that's typically called GIP, which is an inpatient unit where somebody can go for 24-hour care. And it's mainly to monitor their symptoms and adjust the medications accordingly.
Okay. And then there's what you do. So
Correct. So we fill the gap where those minimal hours leave off. So
Mhm.
when somebody's in and out of the home, our staff can support that around the clock care if need be. And it is the absolute gratifying support that most would need. Again, they're the most vulnerable, helping them with dressing, feeding, toileting, incontinent care, and just sheer companionship, monitoring for safety for those who suffer from a cognitive impairment such as Alzheimer's or dementia,
Mhm.
and helping to redirect them. Or just yesterday, I was having a conversation with a client and the different levels of activities that we can do, and just just bringing them some joy and throughout their day.
This is Todd Marquardt, Talk Law Radio, and you can listen on the radio. You can watch on Facebook Live. You can head over to YouTube and search for Talk Law Radio and look for the Lady Justice and the red, white, and blue logo. Click subscribe, and then you can watch these segments when you're cleaning your car or cleaning your laundry or doing the dishes or even working out in the garage. We're talking with George Henry Torres II about his home care business, River City Home Care. And he just finished explaining the differences between home health, home care, and hospice. So there's a lot of the same words that each one of those segments of the elder care industry uses. And I think that's partly why it's confusing.
Absolutely.
And so the next question that most people ask is, how do I pay for this?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, there's a misconception that Medicare is covering these type of services, but unfortunately, unfortunately, it's not the case. And I say that because there is a Medicaid component that will cover this. So not to further confuse, but just so that people understand the difference between Medicare and Medicaid. Medicaid aids the less fortunate. Medicare cares for those that are over 65. There can be some dual eligibility in that regard. But again, going into the complexities there, most people, it's very confusing. But for the
and you'll explain it if they call you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the biggest thing and what I advocate for is the proper planning in advance. So all those family caregivers that are out there, children of an aging parent, ask your parents if they have a long-term care insurance policy. We don't want that to go to waste. That's the one payer source that does cover our services for the vast majority of people that are out there. Yes, we have a medicated segment population, but then we have the middle-class population, and then those that can truly pay for it out of pocket privately. But those that there's really truly a rude awakening for most people to find out that our type of services are not covered through commercial insurance. Our type of services are not covered through Medicare. So I really want to make sure that people are aware of what is covered. And again, we can talk through each one of your callers and explain that to them in more detail. But the long-term care insurance is a really good benefit for those who have it out there because it'll help mitigate the cost of the care.
And if you're young enough and healthy enough to qualify for it, ask a financial advisor how much it would cost, because it really does give you more options when you're aging or suffering from chronic health conditions and disabilities, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I know we're going to talk a little bit about legacy and really kind of wealth accumulation and inheritance for family members. This will help to preserve that fund and that goal because this covers the most expensive part of really truly long-term care.
Right. And your service helps them stay home as opposed to going to a memory care or nursing facility.
Absolutely. And we are no strangers in that environment either. Far too often do people realize after the fact that once they get into a facility, if they are if they're posing injury or risk to themselves or other patients, administration may say, hey, we're going to mandate that you have to hire a private non-medical home care agency to come in here to monitor them for 24-hour care. So here they are paying thousands of dollars to be a resident at that facility. And no fault to the facility, it's just they don't have the appropriate staff ratio to the patients. So we need to go in there often and provide that one-on-one care and support just to make sure that they're safe. If they're a fall risk or they may be combative, to help them redirect potentially. If that they start to argue whether there are other residents down the hall or what have you.
I've had lots of those clients. I'm going to start the prayer.
Yes.
And if you want to jump in, I know you're a prayerful person. Your prayers are often better than mine. You can jump in, but you don't have to. I know I'm springing that on you.
Sure.
But I'll start the prayer. Thank you for sharing how your faith shaped your path. And dear God, we ask you to be with us as we share information and stories about home care. Give us the wisdom and the courage to give good advice to the listeners today about hiring the wrong home care provider. Help us to use the gifts and talents you have provided for the good of your people, for our own good, and for your glory.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the abundant blessings you have bestowed upon us and the knowledge and wisdom that you put before us. May we advocate for those who are less fortunate, for those who are vulnerable, and provide love and caring support. All the glory to your name. In Jesus' name we pray.
Thank you, George. Okay, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about the sinners and the saints. We'll talk about elder abuse and neglect. So stay tuned.
Marquardt is sponsored by the Marquardt Law Firm and does not attempt to solve your individual legal problems upon the basis of information contained herein. Instead, contact an attorney to discuss the specific facts and circumstances of your unique situation. The views and opinions of this program do not reflect the views of the Salem Media Group.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt. On the radio, on Facebook Live, on YouTube, and on talklawradio.com. Check out the website talklawradio.com. There are some links that you can click if you want to be a sponsor, if you want to be a guest, or if you have a question. That's talklawradio.com. Now, in the beginning, God had one law: don't eat from the fruit of that tree. Then he gave Moses the 10 Commandments. And now we have municipal, state, and federal lawmakers that won't stop creating new laws, laws that might impact you without you knowing it. So that's why I'm here for you to help you discover your legal issue blind spots. This is the third segment. It's the Sinners and Saints segment. You remember this song? So the Lord blessed me by in saying that I should have a Sinners and Saints segment. And I got the idea really from Martin Luther, because I'm a Lutheran. He's the famous theologian. If you're just tuning in, I say this every week, who nailed his 95 thesis to the church door in Wittenberg, Germany in year 1517. And Martin Luther said the saints are sinners too, but they've been forgiven and absolved. So just Meredith Brooks kind of put that together in a song that, I'm a saint, I'm a sinner, I'm both. So that's why we keep coming back to Jesus.
Amen.
Love the tiny Jesus. Just a good reminder. I was following somebody, in traffic. I wasn't following too closely, but the bumper sticker said, "Do you follow Jesus this closely?" Because tailgating on the highway is a favorite pastime of people in San Antonio. It's not a good thing. It's dangerous. So the sinner this week is Baylonda Garza Edie, who has allegedly been accused of slapping a 91-year-old in the face and force feeding her food. George, how can someone who wants to hire a caregiver make sure that their loved one doesn't get abused like this?
This is the biggest horror story that we hear often. And it's because there's wolves in sheep's clothing that are out there in environments that you would not think that that they would be there. So oftentimes we hear of somebody hiring somebody from a church, and they seem and appear to be good people, but there's no recourse. There's no regulation. There's nobody to make sure that that person doesn't have really a dark past.
Right.
And that's where hiring a regulated agency like ours will assure you of that. And now I've often said, we have safety nets because we can't control circumstances if things change in the future, but that's why we're licensed, we're bonded, we're insured in every regard to help the recipient of care and their family. But a couple of things that come up with that, especially the importance of workers' comp. I'll just kind of go on a little tangent there, but you hire somebody, let's say they're the perfect saint, and you bring them into the home. God forbid they slip and fall, they injure themselves, and they're no longer able to derive an income for the remainder of their lives. They could sue the homeowner for negligence in whatever regard.
Right.
The faulty, ice maker that leaked in the garage and they slip and fell and no longer can work.
So that's a hidden legal issue blind spot. I was going to bring that up later, but it's okay that you introduced it. I just wanted to get that in front of the listeners, because it's something that when they're hiring, or, it's usually a friend of the family, or like you said, a church member. And it's usually not somebody that's evil. They just don't know what they don't know. They think caregiving's easy. All I have to do is go over there and kind of make sure that this person doesn't fall down or doesn't run away or doesn't get electrocuted or something. So go on with it.
And on that note, when you have somebody who's really not knowledgeable or trained in the industry, they can injure themselves or even the recipient of care oftentimes if they don't know the proper body mechanics and transfer techniques that may be associated with transferring out of a wheelchair or out of a bed or helping with bathing. That's when they would be most susceptible to falls. And so that's the valley that you get when you hire a regulated agency. So us as a company, we're regulated by the Department of Aging and Disability Services under the Texas Health and Human Services. We've been very fortunate to have impeccable surveys recently. So we just passed 2 surveys for our Corpus office and our San Antonio
Great.
office, and 0 demerits. So that's a reflection of our infrastructure, of our administrative team, which I definitely want to give just a shout out to them, because I'm just blessed with just such a wonderful group of individuals. My business partner, who's my fraternity brother, I've known for over 30 years. It was God's perfect plan to have us collaborate and really, build this business together. The strengths that he brings, the strength and passions that we both bring together in conjunction with all of our team. Again, coming up on 20 years is no easy feat, but it's all the glory to God, because we're in a space that we're here to help provide that support. The definition of caregiving in many regards is, we're caring for others. We're giving in that respect. I mean, it's so in depth and it's so gratifying. So we're very blessed to be in this space.
So it's not as easy as it looks to be a caregiver.
Oh, no, sir.
And so what do you do that other people are unable to do? How do you have such great caregivers?
Well, again, it goes back to our philosophy and culture. A happy employee is going to yield a happy client. So we do the best that we can to take care of our staff, to include even a 401k matching program that is virtually unheard of in our industry. But we want to do everything because we know down the road there are going to be recipients of care. So we're advocating in every regard to try to help them prepare in the future as well, which there's availability for other product lines that we have for our staff. But bottom line is just treating with dignity across the board, doing the right thing. That's just within the culture. Going back, because I know I went on a tangent about the workers' comp, but I want to go back to your original question in regards to the wolves in sheep's clothing.
Yeah.
The risk of hiring somebody privately. Again, there's good people out there, so don't get me wrong. There's absolutely some fantastic people that are private in the industry, but there are those that, again, kind of slide in and they can be ravenous wolves. And those are the ones that typically will not even necessarily pick up tangible items within the home. You may have your watch laid out, you may have a stack of bills, you may have some of your jewelry, but the problem that they're doing is they're going around and they're taking pictures of their identity and accounts, and they're texting that information off to syndicates, their professional organizations that are stealing their identity. And so once they're successful in opening up those accounts, then they call the caregiver. And oftentimes, let's be real, we're here close to the border. We have a lot of people that they hire, quote unquote, as live-ins, and they're from, across the border. And so they'll call them and they'll say, hey, you need to come back home. Your mom's sick. And they'll typically will say, well, we'll come back in a couple of weeks and I'll go visit them, check on mom, and I'll return. Don't rest assured. That prepaid phone is no longer in service and there's nowhere to be found. And lo and behold, they start to receive documentation of new accounts being opened under their name. And they can tie the correlation to that person that seemed to be an angel, but they were a wolf.
Yeah, wow. I haven't seen that reported in the news. Let me ask you another question. What can happen if a person's older mom and dad doesn't get the care that they could? They don't want to hire somebody because it's too expensive. And I'll tell a short story before you answer. Remember the 2-time Oscar-winning actor Gene Hackman? Well, some maintenance workers found him dead at his home, and then they discovered his wife was dead also, and the police said that she had died before him. And I just thought, could this have been avoided? Maybe.
It could have. And I think, and I know there's some complexities of their children's dynamics and different things there, but the bottom line is hiring an agency like us will help to allow family caregivers and that personal family relationship be sons and daughters to their parents versus having to be the one. So let's face it, most parents don't want to be that vulnerable with their children, helping with bathing them or helping them in this form of incontinence. So hiring somebody privately to address those needs and taking that off the shoulders of family members is available, and it allows family to be family and caregivers to provide that caregiver support. But with that, again, sometimes it can be extremely stressful. There's different layers of the stress associated with being a family caregiver. There's the financial stress, there's the physical stress, physical and emotional,
Hmm.
and sometimes it can be overbearing for an individual.
Yeah, and it adds up over time. I've actually had a client who died. She was taking care of her husband, but she's the one that died.
Yes, the primary caregivers are typically the ones that are most susceptible to exacerbating their conditions.
Right.
And oftentimes these families are also caught in what we call the sandwich generation, which we'll talk a little bit more about that
Okay,
later.
great. We're going to take a break. We're going to be talking more about legacy and about home care. And this is George Torres II with River City Home Care. Stay tuned. Are you 100% confident that no matter what happens in the financial markets, economy, or world events, you will achieve your financial goals? If not, we have a process to get your financial house in perfect order and keep it that way forever. Your financial future shouldn't be a guessing game. Planning, advice, organization, and accountability are deliverables you should expect. For over 35 years, Financial Planning HQ has been San Antonio's trusted partner for comprehensive written lifetime financial strategies. Steve and his team, including sons Joseph and Jacob, don't believe in a one-size-fits-all approach. Instead, they create a personalized financial roadmap for you based on what's important to you. As an independent registered investment advisor, they're not tied to any big corporation's products. They work for you, creating inspiring, intelligent financial strategies that put your interests first. Call Financial Planning HQ at 210-685-2722. That's 210-685-2722. I'm Todd Marquardt. A lot of people think trusts are only for the wealthy, but that's simply not true. If you want to avoid probate, maintain your privacy, protect your assets, or make things easier for your family, a trust might be exactly what you need. I'll help you understand your options and decide what's best for your unique situation. Let's talk. Call 210-530-4278 or visit marquardtlawfirm.com today. Do it before you die.
9:30 a.m.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt here with George Henry Torres II, owner and president of River City Home Care business here in San Antonio and Corpus Christi. We've been talking about all the bad things that can happen if you hire the wrong caregiver. But this is the legacy segment, and so we want to ask you about your legacy.
And now it's time for the Talk Law Radio Legacy Spotlight. What's your legacy? Sponsored by Marquardt Law Firm.
So, George, attorneys at Marquardt Law Firm focus on business and estate law, including last wills, living trusts, and tax-protected inheritance plans. It's all about legacy. And so we like to ask our guests about legacy. And I wanted to ask you about how you want the community to remember you for the impact that you may have made.
Well, thank you. That's something that is very deep within my heart that I'd like to share. The first thing that I'd say on a spiritual aspect is the legacy that I like to live within my family, and knowing that the one thing that we can take into heaven that we can't leave, that we can't bring with us from here. We can't bring any wealth or any accumulation or any of the accolades, but we can certainly bring other souls, and most importantly, those that God has entrusted us with, which is our own family, my spouse and my children, of leading them to Christ and accepting him as their savior and repentance upon them, and all those that we can touch every day. So upon the community, everything that I do is Christ-centric and focused, and that I want that to be a reflection of our organization and in all the ministries that I'm involved with, and certainly my business is a ministry in many regards too, because there are families that we work with that will pray with them, and they just feel so relieved and moved and give themselves over to Christ. So that's the spiritual piece of it. The rest is, I definitely would like to allow for my family to have that transfer of just peace. Certainly, of course, I want the wealth accumulation aspect of it, but lately for me, even a reflection of the Lord's Prayer, when give us this day our daily bread. I
Right.
have changed that of, the personal needs and turning it more to the spiritual graces. God equipped me with what's needed for whatever might be of grace that's needed for that day, whether it's being in a manner of advising somebody or even just acting Christ-like in many regards to being the bigger and better person. Because sometimes, there's a lot of divides in our world and there's a lot of attacks, and it's just trying to be, the forgiving and loving and supportive person that Christ wants us to be.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I'm really in awe of your faith and how open you are with sharing it. That's cool.
Well, and I want to give another thing too, that when reading and thinking about that was, I'd like to be remembered for my courage and faith as well, just like Charlie Kirk,
Yeah,
just being bold and speaking truth.
yeah. And the impact that you have on people, I think, is enormous because you're hired to take care of this one person, and then but the impact isn't just on that one person because you help that person's whole family. They can now feel better that their loved one is going to be taken care of. That, just like you said in the segment before, you help lower stress. You're helping them to live longer lives and to have healthier family relationships. I mean, it just a ripple effect of the people that you have an impact on.
Yeah, most may be in the position, but not know of the term that's used for the sandwich generation. And we were talking a little bit about that, and I'll just share something that was impressed upon my heart that the Lord had put in me of being bold and sharing the information that most families don't know as far as
Mhm.
their options and resources and the levels of complexity and how that can be completely layered. But the sandwich generation is defined as an individual who's caring for an aging parent and young children and caught in between. And so with that, I've been just inspired by the Lord to start a segment which will be called the Sandwich Menu. And so I'll be honored to have you on that podcast
Yeah,
down the
that'd be
road. We're still
great.
working out the kinks there, but and it is something for me to be bold on. I have of course, naturally it's a little uneasy, but I'm gonna live out in faith. God calls, equips the called, and
That's
doesn't call the
right.
equipped. So
Yeah,
so I'm looking forward to building, upon that. But and that would be hopefully, part of the legacy as well.
right. So one of the hidden legal blind spots is financial in nature too. Uh, we talked about it, I think, in the second segment. How do I pay for this? And you just mentioned long-term care. Why is dealing with long-term care insurance so difficult? And how can you help?
Sure. I'll tell you, there's a lot of paperwork associated with it that most families will be overwhelmed, especially if you're a recipient of care. They may put a call in to receive a claim packet, or not even honestly remember that they have it in force.
Hmm.
So a simple conversation with your loved one, if you have and ask them if they have a long-term care insurance policy. Now, you may not know, they may not even remember, but if you have fiduciary responsibility and on accounts, you may want to see if there's a reoccurring payment towards a insurance company, or something that looks like you may want
Well,
to look
yeah,
inquire about it.
whatever insurance company it is, find out what it is.
Absolutely.
It
Absolutely.
might be long-term care insurance. And if you have an estate planning binder and you have long-term care insurance, get a copy of the policy, the whole contract, all the papers, and put it in the binder because the person that's going to help you, the agent under power of attorney, uh, is going to have the power of attorney document in that binder, and they're going to have to fax it over to the long-term care insurance company anyway. So you have those two documents together. It's just the important documents binder.
Absolutely. And again, very blessed to have been exposed to that early on. Little did I know that it would end up being, 20 years into the industry and supportive for the community in that respect. But we simplify it in every regard to the family who is looking for activating that policy. So please give us a call. Again, 210-342-CARE, 210-342-2273. There's no fee associated with that. We can look through your long-term care policy. We can advise as to whether or not, it's time to activate it, because some people may think that, okay, we're ready to utilize a policy. Mom needs a driver. But if they don't qualify on the basis of the contract, because essentially it is a contract between the individual and the insurance company.
It's kind of like auto insurance. You can buy these different little features and riders.
All the different riders, absolutely. And many may not know that they have a home modification rider that's available to them. They may have a waiver of premium so you've been paying premium on this all the time. You hired a private caregiver to just not activate this policy to go through the trouble of it, but you could have actually had utilized it all along and waived the premium and not have to be paying premium any longer, preserving wealth for the legacy.
Right. Yeah.
So it's just, it merits a call.
Yeah. And a lot of those companies are hard to work with. I had a client asking me, why did I get denied for benefits? He said, I read Mom's policy. It seems to me like she should be getting benefits, and they sent me this letter that says denied. What do they do in that case?
Well, we probably have to revisit and see as to why they were denied. Most likely, and I'll say it, they have to actually be compliant too with the acceptance of care. Because if our staff is going in there and rendering help and support, and the documentation's just what justifies the claim is they need help with bathing and dressing. If one says, nope, I don't need that help, then they can't truthfully document that was provided during the course of that visit. So some cases that may happen, but we definitely want to support and encourage to follow the care plan.
Another hidden legal issue blind spot, George, is that some caregivers can be classified as employees unknowing to the person that hired them. You don't think that they're your employee, but I had a client one time, his caregiver and he got into an argument, and the caregiver went to Texas Workforce Commission and filed for unemployment. And my older client said, well, he's not my employee. He's just helping me around the house. Well, Texas Workforce Commission said he was your employee, and now you have to pay all these unemployment taxes and payroll taxes to the IRS. So if you don't want to be stuck getting blindsided by that, then you might as well just hire the caregiving company to begin with, because you take on all that liability.
We pay FICA, FIDA, Medicare, Social Security. Again, even any type of payroll deductions, any other withdrawals, and those voluntary contributions to the 401k pre-tax dollars that we can offer as well. The definition of employee W-2 versus 1099 is based on the IRS code. Telling somebody where to go, when to go, and how to do it. That's a definition of an employee. A contract labor is allowing them the autonomy to do certain things. But if you have somebody who's scheduled and you're requesting them to be there from this time to this time, that's your employee. Yeah. And it's your responsibility to match those taxes.
The payroll taxes. Yeah. And some people get away with it and some people don't. I just don't want you to be the one that gets hammered by the government for doing the wrong thing. So it's worth a conversation.
Absolutely. You may be thinking that you're saving some money, but it's going to end up costing you the same in the long run. And frankly, if you have a policy, you need to utilize a licensed agency to help you facilitate that claim.
Okay. Well, we have to end the show, George, but thank you so much for joining us. I think that our audience got a lot out of that. If you did, please post a comment on Facebook, say something that you learned. If you're listening on YouTube, post a comment, tell us what you learned. If you want to email me, it's host@talklawradio.com. I'm Todd Marquardt. I'll talk to you later.
Most families don't realize they have hidden legal blind spots until it's too late. Wills, trusts, Medicaid planning, even protecting a business. These are the kinds of issues attorney Todd Marquardt helps uncover before they become problems. Todd is the host of Talk Law Radio, where each week he guides listeners through the legal challenges families, veterans, and business owners face, while showing them the practical steps to protect what matters most. Catch Talk Law Radio, Saturdays at 11 a.m. on 9:30 a.m. The Answer, 6:30 a.m. The Word, and now in Houston on AM 1070 and 103.3 FM The Answer, or anytime on YouTube. Planning isn't just about documents. It's about peace of mind, security for loved ones, and building a legacy that lasts. Don't wait for a crisis. Do it before you die.